Blessed is he who has nowhere to go. Imagine a world where wisdom lies in folly, and the deepest truth resides in absurdity. Think for a moment. What if everything you believe you know about success, reason, and normalcy was turned upside down? Today we'll dive into the depths of Fyodor Dostoevsky's brilliant mind, a man who dared to embrace madness as a path to enlightenment. Prepare for a journey that will challenge your perceptions, shake your convictions, and perhaps forever change your worldview. And remember, the most powerful and transformative revelation is saved for the end. Dostoevsky, one of the greatest literary geniuses of all time, gifted us with a philosophy as profound as it is disturbing. The idea that to achieve true wisdom, we must be willing to be fools in the eyes of the world. But what does this really mean? How can we apply this seemingly paradoxical concept in our everyday lives? Let's start by exploring the concept of madness in Dostoevsky's work. For him, madness was not simply a state of mental imbalance, but a form of liberation from social conventions and the limitations of rational thought. In The Idiot, for example, Prince Mishkin is considered a fool by society, but his purity of heart and sincerity make him the wisest and most compassionate character in the story. Think for a moment. How many times have you held back from doing or saying something for fear of judgment from others? How many brilliant ideas have been stifled by the fear of appearing ridiculous? Dostoevsky invites us to break these barriers, to embrace our authenticity, even if it means being seen as a fool. The philosopher Nietzsche, a contemporary of Dostoevsky, also explored similar ideas. He spoke about the need to go beyond good and evil, to transcend conventional notions of morality, to achieve a deeper understanding of existence. It's no coincidence that both thinkers came to such similar conclusions about the nature of wisdom and madness. But how can we apply this philosophy in our practical lives? Let's start with a simple exercise. Think of something you've always wanted to do, but never had the courage to for fear of looking foolish. Maybe it's singing in public, starting an unusual new hobby, or expressing a long-held feeling. Now imagine yourself doing exactly that, free from judgments and worries. How do you feel? The truth is that by allowing ourselves to be fools, we open up space for experiences and insights that we would never have access to otherwise. It's in the territory of the unknown, the unconventional, that we often find the greatest revelations about ourselves and the world. Dostoevsky believed that true wisdom came from experience, not just intellectual knowledge. In Crime and Punishment, we see Raskolnikov, a brilliant young man, driven to madness by his own intellectual theories. It's only when he embraces the humility and madness of repentance that he finds redemption. This leads us to a crucial question. Are we willing to abandon our certainties to embrace the unknown? Dostoevsky's wisdom challenges us to do exactly that. He shows us that it's in vulnerability, in the willingness to appear foolish, that we find our deepest humanity. Think of the great innovators and visionaries in history. Many of them were ridiculed in their time, considered mad or foolish for their revolutionary ideas. Galileo was persecuted for stating that the earth revolved around the sun. Van Gogh was considered mad for his misunderstood art. And Jesus Christ, perhaps the most powerful example, was crucified for his radical ideas of love and forgiveness. What do all these fools have in common? They dared to think differently, to challenge the status quo, to embrace a vision that went beyond what was considered normal or acceptable in their time. And it's precisely because of this that their ideas changed the world. Dostoevsky invites us to do the same in our own lives. It's not about seeking madness for madness's sake, but about being open to perspectives that challenge our comfort zone. It's about cultivating the courage to be authentic, even when it means going against the current. In The Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky explores this idea through the character of Alyosha, a young monk whose kindness and compassion are often seen as naivety or foolishness by others. However, it is Alyosha who demonstrates the greatest wisdom and inner strength throughout the story. This leads us to an important reflection. What if the qualities we often despise or underestimate, such as naivety, vulnerability, or the willingness to appear foolish, were actually our greatest strengths? What if, by embracing these parts of ourselves, we could access a deeper and more authentic wisdom? Psychologist Carl Jung, deeply influenced by Dostoevsky, spoke about the need to integrate our shadow, the the parts of ourselves that we reject or hide. Perhaps the madness that Dostoevsky speaks of is precisely this integration, the acceptance of all our facets, including those that society has taught us to repress. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to live without fear of judgment from others. How would it feel to express your boldest ideas, your craziest dreams, without worrying about what others would think? What kind of creativity, what kind of innovation could arise from this state of freedom? Dostoevsky shows us that it's precisely in this state of madness that we find our true essence. It's when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, when we open ourselves to ridicule and failure, that we discover our deepest strength. Think of all the times you felt most alive, most authentic. They were probably moments when you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, moments when you risked appearing foolish. Maybe it was when you fell madly in love, when you embarked on a crazy adventure, or when you pursued a dream that everyone said was impossible. Dostoevsky's philosophy challenges us to live more of these moments. It invites us to embrace the paradox that it's in madness that we find true wisdom, and it's in the willingness to appear foolish that we discover our true genius. But how can we cultivate this wise madness in our everyday lives? Here are some practical suggestions. 1. Practice radical authenticity. Challenge yourself to be completely honest in your interactions, even when it means going against social expectations. 2. Embrace failure. See each failure not as a mistake, but as an opportunity for learning and growth. 3. Cultivate childlike curiosity. Ask foolish questions, explore absurd ideas, allow yourself to marvel at the world like a child. 4. Challenge your own beliefs. Regularly question your assumptions and convictions. Be open to changing your mind. 5. Practice radical empathy. Try to understand and connect with people who are completely different from you. 6. Create something useless. Dedicate yourself to a project or hobby that has no practical purpose, just for the pleasure of creating. 7. Laugh at yourself. Cultivate the ability to laugh at your own mistakes and peculiarities. Remember, the goal is not to become literally crazy, but to cultivate a mental and emotional openness that allows us to access insights and experiences beyond the ordinary. Dostoevsky believed that it was precisely in moments of greatest despair and madness that we could find redemption and enlightenment. In Notes from Underground, he writes, "Suffering is the sole origin of consciousness." This challenging idea invites us to see our struggles and moments of madness not as obstacles, but as opportunities for deep growth. Think of a moment in your life when you felt completely lost, when everything seemed to have fallen apart. Now looking back, can you see how that moment of madness led to valuable insights or positive changes in your life? Dostoevsky's genius lies in showing us that it's precisely in these moments of chaos and uncertainty that we have the opportunity to rediscover our deepest humanity. It's when our masks fall, when our defenses are broken, that we can finally see ourselves and others with clarity and compassion. This philosophy challenges us to embrace life in all its complexity and contradiction. It invites us to see beauty in imperfection, wisdom in madness, strength in vulnerability. It's a call to live more fully, more authentically, and yes, more foolishly. But here's the most powerful revelation of all. By embracing our own madness, by allowing ourselves to be fools, we're not just transforming our own lives, we're changing the world around us. Because when we live authentically, when we dare to be different, we inspire others to do the same. Imagine a world where everyone felt free to express their true essence, where creativity and innovation flowed freely, where compassion and understanding replaced judgment and fear. This is the world Dostoevsky envisioned, and it's the world we can create, one act of madness at a time. So I challenge you. What act of wise madness will you commit today? What part of yourself long repressed will you allow to shine? What foolish idea will you pursue, no matter what others think? Remember Dostoevsky's words. To love a person means to see them as God intended them. Perhaps the first step is to see ourselves in this way, with all our madness, all our contradictions, all our glorious imperfection. As we embark on this journey of self-discovery and authenticity, remember, true wisdom isn't in having all the answers, but in being open to all the questions. True strength isn't in never falling, but in always getting up. And true genius isn't in being perfect, but in being perfectly yourself. Dostoevsky showed us that it's possible to find light in darkness, beauty in chaos, and wisdom in madness. He challenged us to look beyond appearances, to dive into the depths of human experience, and to find in it a deeper and richer truth than any superficial logic could offer. So, the next time you feel tempted to conform, to hide, to suppress your true nature for fear of judgment from others, remember, the greatest geniuses in history were those who dared to be different, who embraced their madness and transformed it into art, into innovation, into change. You have that same capacity within you. You have the power to transform your madness into genius, your doubts into discoveries, your fears into courage. All you need is the willingness to be a little foolish, to take risks, to be authentically yourself. And who knows, maybe it's precisely this willingness to be a fool that the world needs most right now. Maybe it's your particular madness that contains the seed of a revolutionary idea, of a transformative work of art, of an act of compassion that will change someone's life. So, I invite you to embrace your inner madness, to be courageously authentic, to love deeply, to dream grandly, to live fully. Because as Dostoevsky showed us, it's only when we dare to be fools that we discover our true genius. And remember, the journey to wisdom is not a destination, but an ongoing process of discovery and rediscovery. Each day is a new opportunity to learn, to grow, to be surprised by the beauty and complexity of life. May you find the courage to be a wise fool, to live authentically, to love unconditionally. May you discover the genius that resides in your own madness. And in doing so, may you inspire others to do the same. Because in the end, perhaps the greatest wisdom of all is the willingness to remain eternally curious, eternally open, eternally foolish in the face of the infinite mystery of existence. If you've made it this far and feel inspired to embrace your own madness in a positive and transformative way, share in the comments, "Today I commit to being authentically myself without fear of appearing foolish." Remember, each act of authenticity, each moment of vulnerability, each expression of your true essence is a victory not just for you, but for all of humanity. Because this is how we change the world. One act of courage at a time, one expression of love at a time, one moment of wise madness at a time. And as you continue on your journey of self-discovery and authenticity, always remember Dostoevsky's words, "Beauty will save the world." Perhaps the most powerful beauty of all is that which resides in our willingness to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be fools in a world that often values conformity over authenticity. So go ahead. Be a fool, be a genius, be yourself. The world is waiting to see the unique beauty that only you can bring, and who knows, maybe it's precisely your madness that the world needs most right now. Until next time, and remember, true wisdom lies in never stopping questioning, never stopping exploring, never stopping marveling at the mystery of existence. Stay curious, stay courageous, stay foolish, because that's how we become truly wise.